Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet tonight. We ask for your guidance as we work together in our efforts to do what is best for our community. Strengthen us as we make tough decisions that are right for our citizens. We ask that you watch over our police and first responders who protect and serve every day. Thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, Carla. Thanks, Kyle. Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Lindsay Cox.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Here. I declare that we have a quorum present. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Any council discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item which is scheduled for a public hearing will be given the opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on any item may speak now. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Please.
Thank you for being here and your service for everyone. My name is Phyllis Brubaker Dell. I grew up in Riverton. I own property here. My resting place shall be here as well. I spent a lot of time in Florida. I have a lot of health issues, as more recent, a couple heart attacks, a couple broken feet. I come back. I love this city. I like where I live, and I've been very concerned about the area and the property and what's going on here with all the shootings. And unfortunately, my property is very close to that. I call from time to time from Florida to check. You know, when I'm here, I just got in night before last, so I'm a little tired, so I apologize. But with all due respect, I thought you gentlemen and ladies are here. I wanted to come and just speak, so pardon me. I'm not quite sure the protocol. Anyway, I just have a lot of concerns about the neighborhood. I live at 807 and a half East Jackson Avenue. I own that property now 18 years. I got a 2-bedroom house in front, which is 807 East Jackson. And then I have a little cottage in the back that I've gutted and redid these for the last 18 years, my own blood, sweat, and tears. And it's very sentimental. I even took care of my mother in hospice care there and many others. I'm in the holistic health care is my background. And so I just got here, but I know there's been a lot going on. I see a lot of vagrants there, which we all know this is so. A lot of activity there. It's right at Loaf and Jug. And I know recently I got the word from my family that lives here that there was shootings there. I've had to chase many off my property. I did put up a 6-foot fence and security lights, a great cost to myself to be secure and knowing that. But there's been a lot of other graffiti, which I have called numerous times. I am absolutely pro-police, and that's where I stand with that. It's getting a lot of bad rap. And here on the reservation, I grew up here. I know it can be extremely challenging on a multitude of levels. So I want the county and the city to know that you have my highest regard and respect for the work and what everybody's facing here. That's been a very problematic area. It was before I purchased the property. I gutted and redone it. I put a lot of money, sweat, and tears, so there's a lot of equity, but a sentimental attachment as well. And recently I've thought about selling it for health reasons because I can't do the work that I used to do. And I call from Florida. I'm there for a specialist, heart specialist, and my other doctors. I came in with 2 broken feet, 2 heart attacks within 3 weeks, and 2 torn rotator cuffs and rheumatoid arthritis. So I am grateful to be here. I love my little cottage, my little shack in the back, and I'd like to keep it. I see all the graffiti. There's been quite a war going on, which I've had a front row seat. People crawling over fences. Usually I'm strong enough. I put up security lights and whatnot. And then I call from Florida. I didn't even know there had been other shootings there. I just had a sense, but I call from time to time and ask to do some extra. I personally have paid a lot of money out of my own pocket for that area and that alley for gravel, loads of it. I have receipts for it because it's not as well maintained. I battle the weeds, everything, that whole alley. I know it's a huge problematic area for the city and people that are serving, the brave that are serving this. I've even 3-4 years ago, it was a brand new, beautiful painted garage. I open up my door, I look out over the big fence, and it's just graffiti. And all that is, it's a cartel. And if anybody here think that it's not happening here, it's happening here. Sad, but true. And it's, I don't want to just say the reservation. I think this area is so isolated and everything I loved about it and growing up here, but it's very isolated, and I think that also lends itself to a lot of ignorance and a lot of people struggling with addiction. And I've asked for years for all the graffiti of the gangs that I have to look at every day when I look out my door. And I'm a gardener. I've made it beautiful, and to bring that area up. And so that's really what I'm here to say is thank you to anybody and everybody that's gone down that alley. It is a real pain, and my heart goes out to you. I live there. In the last month, I've had 2, and I have a 6-foot cedar fence that I shut when I leave, when I go to Florida. I'm not considered like a part-time person that lives in Riverton. All my family, I'm related to half the county, okay? First grade on through CWC and then some. And even when I inquired about all that graffiti, and bless her heart, before she sold the motel, she painted it look beautiful. I was told I couldn't do anything about it. Don't think the little girl in me from Riverton, Wyoming didn't want to go over there late at night and get my spray can and just cover it. I'll do the same color. But I was told then it was the owner of that house. It's his responsibility. Now it's been there for 3 years, and those are gangs that are marking their territory. So they see that whole alley, all the weeds. They've come, they've taken the dumpsters away because everybody from Loaf and Jug throws their crap. The front of my house is an ashtray and garbage every day. So now I'm at a place in my life, at this stage in life, I can't do all of that by myself. And I did put my property up for sale. I did not want to. But now with all these other shootings going on, it's ridiculous. And it's very sad and tragic. And there's issues across the street where the old Chinese restaurant used to be. And I don't know if anybody's checked out, there's a couple of camper trailers back there. There's little kids that are holding up signs, help us. I don't know the validity of it. I don't know what the degree, because I'm not here 365 days a year. So I don't know about that, but I know there's a lot of issues, and I just wanted to come and speak from my heart and tell everybody thank you for your time and your effort, and I know it's a huge problem. I see it every day, and I pull my car out of my driveway that I've paid. I see that every single day, and no, I didn't spray paint it. But thank you, and I just call, and it was ironic. The last month, I've called twice from Florida, just out of the blue. Imagine that. And said, would somebody just maybe beef up that area a little bit more? I just had a feeling about it. And if I understand correctly, there was also home invasions on my same block, and people were injured, maybe even fatalities. I don't know, I just got off an airplane with a cat, okay? So, in a wheelchair. So, that's really what I have to say, and so just thank you for your time and effort. I know there's other people, I don't want to take a lot of time. I'm pretty tired myself, but I want to be involved. I'll be here all summer, I know, at least, until the end of November. The other thing that I question about in Riverton is healthcare. I'm not here full-time because I can't find the doctors that'll give me service, even service I've had since I was a child. Don't take new people. I'm a new person. I'm 61 years old. So for me, when I was here last summer after COVID, I had COVID twice. I've done all of my vaccines, everything. I couldn't even get in to see a doctor. I finally wound up going to the hospital. That was $14,000. And I had a nurse sit in the corner and have me pull off all my electrodes while she threw my bag. So everyone has issues, but you guys know these issues, I'm thinking. You know, it's been an issue. And it's pretty sad because I try to do everything I can before I leave Florida, even of my heart medication, that I can't even get here, even when I do it at Walmart, because it's, you know, you can transfer a lot of that. So I'm just really bummed out about it, what's happened to the neighborhood, you know. And it's an old part of the neighborhood. I mean, I knew it wasn't the best, but it's the best I had at the time to buy and take care of my mother. And I would still like to live there in my little 450 square foot shack. You know, one time I had my 8,000 square foot home and I had my shack, and I'll tell you which one I preferred, my shack. So that's really just thank you for your time, and anything I can do. I know I'll be here all summer. My biggest thing is just getting medical treatment around here, you know, because I have a lot of meds I'm taking, about 14 a day. That's it. So thank you for your time, everybody.
We do appreciate you coming and talking to us. And
Yeah,
my phone
you're
number,
welcome.
my personal cell number, you might want to write it down, is 851-1627. And it's Rich Guard. And I think I went to school with
Richard Guard, yeah, I don't think I've ever met you before.
a little
A
older.
lot of people I grew up might recognize me, but I look different all the time.
So don't go without asking for help. We can't,
Thank you.
We can't fix it if we don't know where it's at. We have one of the best police departments in the state.
I agree with that.
Keep calling us and we'll keep fighting those problems. And I do have some kids that help us with graffiti. So if I don't know it's there, I can't come get it. And
Yeah.
we probably can get some people to help us with that. Okay?
Well, I really am grateful, and I really am grateful and appreciate that, and thank you for stepping up and stepping out and giving me the number. Those things are very private, and like I said, I don't know you personally, but I have called and I have asked this past month 3 times even. It's really weird, you know, and then I get here. Oh, no wonder I was in the whole list, you know, what I did for a living in my business. But it's ridiculous. They busted my gate twice. Busted up my whole gate. I put a lot of money in that property, and somebody came and hacked 8 aspen trees I had just planted 4 years ago. I'm like, what the heck? You know? And I have some family here, but they're all busy too. They're working, hard-working people, you know? I come from very humble beginnings that wanted to do better and be better and get an education. But I love it, and I'm proud that I'm from Wyoming. And it's unfortunate. It's not safe.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
So thank you very, very much, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And just really, my heart goes out and just thank for everybody that comes in here every month, every day, dealing with what you're doing. And I hope to be part of the Neighborhood Watch. I know that's coming up. Is it the 14th? Did I get that date right?
I think we've got a nod in the audience. That's correct.
July 14th,
July 14th.
7 p.m.? Oh, you did? Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so anything I can do, and I wish that I was here full-time, I'd be more involved, but I'm not. But I'm here today, and thank you all for being here. I really appreciate everything, okay?
Thank you.
And then that many blessings to everybody. And I love the fact to be able to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and then the Lord's Prayer. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Please.
Hi, Council Mayor. I'm Greg Talabas. I live at 805 East Jackson Avenue. I've got a meeting set for July 14th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. here. And just wanted to come in. We've been passing out flyers and everything, and I've been watching all the videos, trying to get a clue to, try to get things organized. And so I just came by to let you all know that. Leave a few flyers, and we're hitting downtown and the neighborhoods. I've been posting it on 10 Trades and Facebook and meeting neighbors, and so some of the organizations seem sort of vigilante kind of, and that's not what we're looking for. And so I don't really know if we will go with the brand Neighborhood Watch. I don't know if their logos are free to use. And so we'll find out during the meeting. Maybe we'll have our own. Maybe we'll just have Riverton Neighborhood Watch. Maybe like a little mountain in the background or something, to get a positive movement going, not a, And so that's it.
We appreciate it. Did
Yes.
did you say the time and I missed it, or what time on the 14th?
Here you go, Mayor.
Thank you.
And there was a misspelling on there, but it was, instead of attention, it should have said attend.
I will never check spelling, will I, Tony?
The whole word was wrong, but anyway,
That-
and that was
that-
all,
That's
what-
from 7 to 9
yes,
here at City Hall.
yes. And
Fabulous.
I will come in on the 13th. I believe I was told to kind of get things ready. If we could, if we could use Wi-Fi to watch some videos, so we can all get familiar, and hopefully it'll resonate and go from there. So, and that's about it. I mean, I've been walking up and down the streets, shaking neighbors' hands who I've never met, but you have to start somewhere, right?
That's right.
And so there's the update, and I will be here on the 13th, and then I'll definitely be here on the 14th.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Appreciate the prayer, and thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak?
No, that's okay, I'll be there.
Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, June 21st, 2022 regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, June 28th, 2022 special council meeting. Approval of the minutes, July 5th, 2022 finance committee meeting. Approval of the finance committee recommendations for July 5th, 2022. And 2 open container permit applications. The first submitted by Livestock Liquors for the Friday night cruise on July 15th, 2022 from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. and will be located in front of their bar on South 7th East. And the second was submitted by Bar 10 for the Friday night cruise on July 15th, 2022 from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. And it will be on Broadway in front of their bar from Main Street to Washington.
Thank you. Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor, the Finance Committee met earlier this evening and approved the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $1,287,796.95, a manual check in the amount of $377.43, payroll and liabilities for June 17th, 2022 in the amount of $469,117.68, for a total of $1,757,292.06.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Borders has the second. Council discussion.
Your Honor, I'd like to abstain from any warrants paid to Traveling Computers or Bayonet.
Good. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Sunset Drive Improvement Project Phase 1, consideration of change order number 1. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. As referenced, this will be the first change order for the Sunset Drive Improvement Project, and I've asked our city engineer, Brendan Toman, to work through the report for you this evening, if that's okay.
It's always fun to find somebody who'll take the spear, so.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, thank you for hearing me tonight. I look forward to the day when I can deliver great information in front of this council, but today we have something in front of us on this Sunset Drive project. As you know, this project began May 1st with construction beginning at the east end of Sunset Drive and on the west end of Sunset Drive and moving east. The project, about the end of May 26th, hit a stall point when we started to work through the Broadway intersection. Excuse me, let me get that right. At the intersection, the proposed irrigation line, and as you know, this project takes in a lot of utilities, so there's water, sewer, irrigation, plus storm sewer as well. It'll be a brand new street as well as sidewalks on the street. The proposed alignment for the irrigation came right in line with a bank of fiber optic cables. And when I say a bank of fiber optic cables, it's about 12 different conduits, 4-inch conduits stacked right in line with that irrigation line. This was something that wasn't previously marked on this project, even in the planning stage, and then again when construction commenced in the beginning of May. That was not marked, so it's hard to know what was there until the contractor came to it. And I included a picture in your packet that you can see. That was about the first time any of us knew of this conduit bank of conduits. So the east-west conduits were known along Broadway, north and south, and then east-west was not known. This irrigation line's a 24-inch line that travels from the start of the project to the finish. And with that, there was no way to really mitigate that except go to the old irrigation line or pick a new alignment. So we got together with the engineer of record on this project, W.H. Smith Engineers. They produced a new plan set and worked very well with us, and in 3 days had that plan set to the contractor. Contractor was able to look that over, and they provided a preliminary cost. We took their cost, reviewed it, cut that in half, reviewed it again, cut that in half again, and that's what I have before you is this $50,000 change order. The amount of $50,640 is the exact amount. Part of the reason for the increased amount on that is that some of the work was done and had to be taken out, so I had to backtrack just a touch before the irrigation new alignment could be taken. After we found that was probably the best course to continue this project. To the contractor's credit, Viper Underground is the sub on this project. The general is 71 Construction. 71 Construction was able to keep Viper Underground busy, putting in the full sewer line that goes down the entire project, the whole length of the project, and then they were able to come back and work on storm and irrigation. While that was happening, the owner of the fiber optic bank we identified was CenturyLink. They provided a contractor, Poly Construction, that came on site. Poly was able to expose, say, those many fiber optics that were on site, kind of to show the extent of the project, and they did that on their own accord. So Poly arrived and they were on site. Have been on site about 2 weeks. So currently, the contractor is now back onto the storm and irrigation on things that they can take care of, but there are these costs that they won't be able to cover underneath the current contract that we have with 71 Construction. So I'll stand for any questions, and I know that was perhaps a high overview, but a little bit brief, but feel free to ask me any questions on this.
Your Honor,
Kyle?
you say CenturyLink or Ma Bell owns that fiber optics, and there was we've done our due diligence, didn't we, on finding out what was under there?
We had, yes.
So how is it our responsibility to do anything that they screwed up? I
Yep.
know you're shaking your head, but if I had a backhoe and I cut those, I can guarantee you that CenturyLink's attorney would be after me and be shaking every quarter from my pant legs. And for us to shoulder those costs are absolutely ridiculous. I don't care about CenturyLink or any of them. I've owned that property on the corner since 2002.
I think I can answer that for you, Councilman Larson. We are on the phone with CenturyLink. It doesn't help us to continue. The approval of this change order will help us to continue the project, and then we are.
I
working with
understand
CenturyLink
that,
to-
but we don't, the city is not as big as CenturyLink and doesn't have as deep of pockets as CenturyLink. I think that we need to be a little more forceful and have them pony up what they have cost us.
Bet I can take that stance if the council would like. You bet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tony?
Mayor and Council, Councilman Larson, you make a very good point. If we were to tear up something, we would be expected to pay for it. So council may absolutely direct us, and we can absolutely look into what remedy financially that we can take, what for damages that are incurred through mistakes that happen with that project. If council wishes to direct us to do so. That is one part of this, and the other one, though, is in order for us, I believe, to continue on the project is the change, and then to seek remedy for any damages that we incur would be following that, and we're happy to pursue that if you so choose. We usually try to have those conversations anyway, and if we need to be more forceful, there's a reason we have a city attorney. So we're happy to use that at your discretion.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Mike?
Your Honor, so we didn't dig through any of the fiber optics and damage them, we just found them?
Correct. We did not.
So if I'm not, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you call call before you dig, and then you end up finding something that they didn't locate, isn't it their responsibility at that time? I mean, I'm assuming you damaged it. If I dug through a gas line and they didn't get it marked,
Mayor?
how's that work, I guess?
Tony?
You're correct. The damages would be one thing. Though I think any remedy that you would have or the challenge is that we have a change order that makes sure we have to do extra work and incur extra costs with regard to engineering is if it wasn't marked properly. So they can only design what they know is there. And so when we get into it and that additional cost, that additional time, that may be something that I believe you could seek remedy for. But not having damaged it, I don't think there's anything that we're paying for the damage because it didn't exist. Anything that you would want to seek,
Restitution.
restitution, thank you, that's the right word I'm looking for, I appreciate that. Restitution would be more in line with additional costs that you incurred because of a failure on a third party, I believe is how it would be. So again, we're happy to do that and to try to have those conversations and be more forceful. But again, it's whenever you actually got hurt.
I don't know how many of us got all the way through Weekly, but I couldn't believe the picture in Weekly for the utilities that lay under that. And I've dug a lot of stuff, and I've been in that yellow excavator, and I can't imagine that you didn't tear through that 71 didn't grab one of those, and then we would have really seen some serious cost when we hit an optic line. And that optic bank was 6, was it not 6 conduits?
12 in the one in question, 14 in the other one. the east-west.
And so when this first came to us, the question was, how could they miss those on twice? They missed them on their first review and on the second. And the information was brought to us. Kyle, you can help me if I misspeak, but their job is they are told what utilities lay in the right-of-way, not exactly where they lay. And so it's their job to go out with the locator and find that. And when you have 12 banks in there that you don't know what you've got, you locate 6 of them and you probably got an idea you found what you're looking for. And so this is the same problem that we had up on Hill Street. And maybe we need to tighten our requirements or our estimation of how much junk you can put in one intersection. I don't know how it should get across the city of Riverton without going down the main corridors, but that intersection is amazing what lays under that intersection. And I think our original plan was to cut that and not tear out the intersection.
Correct. That came later in the design process, was to redo the intersection fully. So that was a change that we made. We were aware of the mess of utilities that were in there, the ones going north and south, and one going east and west. We weren't as aware of the other going east and west. So when that came up, a lot of decisions were made at that point to keep going. And with that, then I brought this to the council, some costs that are going to be incurred by backing up and then going again and continuing with the project.
So I think to really put it in terms, we don't want Broadway and Sunset held up any longer than possible. And I think there's an extension of 20 days added to the schedule for this. 21 days. And so we want the work done, and if we don't sign the change order, work's not going to get done. But I do think what Councilman Larson and Councilman Bailey are both pointing out is that we ought to push hard and document our information well, and then approach Century 21 on a reasonable basis and say, I realize you have costs here, but so do we, and we would like some compensation for the time spent. And I would encourage us to do that.
I have a question here.
Dean?
I'm curious, 2 things. How long have those lines been underground there?
Those ones probably about 30 years on those.
Those fiber conduits?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So secondly, I mean, things get lost in the shuffle, but you'd think that really in the last 20, 30 years that there would be pretty good documentation. What are we doing moving forward so that things that are unknown that get found are documented for the next 30 years? Is there a process for keeping track of that?
Yep,
Can
Your
answer.
Honor.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Brendan.
Kyle?
When it comes to the city utilities that we own, we definitely try to sharpen our pencil. Bob, one of our employees, is actively updating our utility map. After we do a project like this, we always update our maps, and then we also perform as-built construction documents. When it comes to utilities that we do not own, we encourage the utility company, obviously, to update their maps as well. We've also taken the initiative to ensure that we record the location of these utilities not owned by the city, so that if we have to get back in an intersection like Broadway and Sunset again, there's more information before we start digging the ground. But fortunately, to kind of recap, we're updating everything that we have, and then also encouraging the private utility companies to do the same.
I was curious because it makes sense as we find these things. CenturyLink didn't just sneak in the middle of the night and bury this stuff. I mean, somebody at the city would have given them approval. So we would have known at some point that existed. I was just curious what that disconnect was and how we can preempt that in the future.
Mike?
I can attest to just a small amount from the CenturyLink side of the world as to where this problem may come from. I sat on the other side of the Hill Street project. I was actually the engineering head for CenturyLink at the time that the Hill Street project was going on. And what a common occurrence is, or what happened in this case here, is CenturyLink has facilities in multiple locations. They have the duct banks that go up and down, and then they have actual cable facilities in the road right away as well. And if each one of those facilities aren't individually located, they're assumed to be grouped together, and the locator locates one mark and says, this is where everything's at. We miss part A, B, and C, and we just get D. And for Hill Street, for example, the cable that was located along the fence line was dead, and the cable that was in the middle of the road where we were putting the brand-new water main right in the middle of everybody's way, that was the active cable. And that never got located. There was 2 separate cables there. This instance seems to be a fairly similar result of the fiber in the duct bank wasn't located, but the copper cable that was outside of the duct bank in a different location was. And so that's what was documented. So there's some inadequacies there, and CenturyLink doesn't have, CenturyLink and Spectrum and those type of companies do not have a very accurate GIS-based data of where their facilities are at. Is very general. It's 4 lines going down the road saying there are 4 lines going down this road somewhere. And historically, we haven't required, as the city, we haven't required offset measurements as to exactly where those were at and documented and create, because of the amount of work that it creates for the city to document where other people's facilities are at. So it's a cause of this issue, issues like this.
Councilman Bailey?
Well, in a way, we've rewarded them for not recording them properly, because whenever you hit one, the customer gets to pay, not CenturyLink, correct?
Yeah. In this instance, for example, in this instance, if 71 Construction and Viper would have just cut right through the duct bank and not known that it was there and just cut it, they wouldn't have been liable for those costs. Those costs would have actually fell back to the locating service as per the agreement. So USIC is a contractor for CenturyLink to locate their facilities, and CenturyLink's the parent, is the carrier of that. So this issue would get, if council would want to seek retribution, you would go to CenturyLink for that, and then CenturyLink would divvy that out saying, it's not our fault, it's your fault, and they would go to their contractor, and it would go that direction.
Well, and I think to speak to the city, the original bid that came back from 71 was in the 190 range. And fortunately, you guys sharpened your pencils and went back and said, no, you're not, you don't have to replace this or that, and you're gonna go back to the stated costs that were stated at the front of the project. And so I commend your efforts on that, but I do think that Kyle's right, and so is Mike, that we should look at, I think the old statement is garbage in and garbage out. And if we don't know what's under our road, and I'm here to tell you, I don't, if you showed me that as an excavator, I would park my excavator and walk away, because I don't know how you can dig there. There isn't a lot of dirt left, and I think they've wore out that dirt. Next time we dig there, we're gonna have to replace it. And so I think that that's something that we really ought to go back, and I think Councilman Bailey's conversation about we reward them for that effort. I think we should push back on all levels. And I don't think it's just 50,000. I've been watching that project, and it's costing us time. 21 days is not going to be pleasant for the public that we work for. And so I think we ought to document that well and go back to Century 21. If nothing else, if we don't win that, at least they have pushback from, and understand that this is a cost to the city of Riverton, and we need compensation.
I can do that, and I'd be happy to follow up in that direction. So thank you very much, and thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I have a quick question. Had we known that those conduits were there, would that have changed the initial bid price?
Go ahead if you like, Kyle.
Your Honor, should we have known that these were located here, we probably would have looked at a different alignment for the relocation of the Armstrong lateral. Some of you may know or remember that the Armstrong lateral currently sits underneath the curb and gutter and/or sidewalk for most of Sunset. it's not ideal to have that there. And so when we found, as the mayor stated, in a very congested corridor, an alignment for it, we ran with it with our designer. Hindsight being 2020, we would have probably looked at a different alignment. So it's not necessarily something that would or would not have been included in the bid, because what you're really approving tonight is the cost to relocate some of the storm drain that was also going in on its own alignment, but now can't work because we've had to shift everything over. So it's that storm drain and some of the other couplings that are associated with the realignment. So that was a longer answer than I think you were looking for, but
No, that's a
really,
great answer.
it's not anything that would have been in the bid per se, because we would have found a different design alignment.
So there would have still been a cost involved, even had we known that that was there.
Your Honor, that is correct, and that cost is kind of in the bid already. It's just for an alignment that cannot work and will not work. And so we've had to go back, find a new alignment, which I credit our engineer quite a bit for that, WHS, the contractor, and even CenturyLink, because everybody showed up to find a way to thread a needle through a very challenging intersection. So credit to them for doing it, and we've just got to now find a way to, I think, make the contractor whole for some of the changes that occurred because of it.
Cool, thank you.
Any other questions? The chair would entertain a motion to approve the change order number 1 in the amount of $50,640 for additional work performed in the intersection of Broadway and Sunset on the Sunset Phase 1 Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey has the motion. Councilwoman Cox has second. Council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 22-005, a third and final reading, the RMC Riverton Municipal Code, Title 17 zoning identification. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance number 22-005 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 22-005 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning to revise Chapter 17.08 definitions, Section 17.08.010 definitions of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 22-005 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. Further further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. It's third and final reading, it's gotta be roll call.
Roll call vote.
Oh, so, excuse me, I'll back up. Actually, that's the way we're written, so
Doesn't matter.
the motion is in front and then drop down. Would the city clerk please conduct roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Aye.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Aye.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Aye. Motion passes. Consideration of ordinance number 22-006, third and final reading, R4 residential zoning revision. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 22-006 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 22-006 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning, Chapter 17.40 R4 residential district, Section 17.40.020 lot area, Section 17.40.030 height and floor area of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 22-006 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders has the motion. Councilwoman Cox has the second. Discussion? Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Aye.
Councilman Dean Pronto.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Aye.
Mayor Richard Gard.
Aye. Motion passed. Consideration of resolution number 1451, Wyoming class. Financial Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. According to the requirements of state statute and the City of Riverton Statement of Investment Policy, the governing body shall authorize officers or agents of the city to engage in activities with designated investment programs, and by resolution, name its custodian bank as an official depository for the account transactions of city funds, including reserve capital and endowment funds. The primary objectives in priority order of the City of Riverton investment activities shall be safety first, liquidity, return on investment, and community investment. The Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System, which we call Wyoming Class, was organized in 2020 under the laws of the state of Wyoming, and the fund provides cash management investments designed exclusively for Wyoming public entities with its primary objective focused on the safety of public funds. The city currently participates in the state-approved WyoStar and Wyoming Government Investment Funds. It is management's responsibility to conduct periodic reviews of the city's investments to ensure compliance with investment objectives, internal controls, reserve requirements, and fund diversification. Currently, most of the city's investment assets are held with WyoStar, and a minimum amount is held with the Wyoming Government Investment Fund. The staff is seeking the approval of Resolution 1451 to participate in the Wyoming Class Investment Pool.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please read resolution number 1451 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed resolution number 1451, a resolution authorizing the City of Riverton to join with other political subdivisions of the state of Wyoming as a participant in the Wyoming Cooperative Liquid Asset Security System, Wyoming Class, or the Trust, to pool funds for investment.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1451, authorizing participation by the city of Riverton in the Wyoming Class Investment Pool and designate the fund's custodian bank as a depository for the funds for the political subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Salisbury has the motion. Councilman Pronto has the second. Discussion.
Your Honor.
Yes.
What's the advantage of this versus Star or the others? A better return on your money? What?
Yes, Your Honor, we do periodically review our investments, and so this just opens up our opportunity to potentially earn a higher rate of return on our investments. Right now, we are only approved to choose through the two funds, and this offers a third option for us.
Okay, so when we invest with less or higher returns, then we also accept higher risk. My question is that, do we have a performance on this? You know, when you go and buy a mutual fund, you get a tombstone and it shows you what the history is of that investment over 10 years, et cetera. Do we have that?
Your Honor, I would first address your question about assuming higher risks just because we're getting a high return, and that's not necessarily the case. All of these governmental pooled funds are very low-risk types of investments because, of course, our objective is safety of our funds. So we don't invest in anything that's going to jeopardize a principal loss on our funds whatsoever. And yes, we do I seek comparable figures for the same period of performance when I'm looking at investments. Of course, this is a newer fund. It's only 2 years old, so I don't have a 10-year return or a 10-year yield on this. But generally speaking, we are following like 7-day yields on these types of investments.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing consideration of resolution number 1452, a TAP grant application. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. A lot of the council is familiar with this program, but in brief, YDOT receives federal monies to support community-based projects that expand travel choices and enhance transportation options and experiences within communities. A lot of the projects that this program support are the creation of bicycle and pedestrian facilities, streetscape improvements, refurbishment of historic transportation corridors and facilities, and then projects that previously were called Safe Route to School projects. And that's really what we are soliciting at this moment through the Transportation or Alternative Program, or TAP program, is a Safe Routes to School grant. The area that we're looking at is in the Willow Creek Elementary School vicinity. As many of you remember, this school was built in 2015, and the School Facilities Commission invested actually in the improvement of egress and ingress into the school. In doing so, they extended West Monroe and actually paved and created South Major Avenue. Unfortunately, at the time of construction, the School Facilities Commission did not have enough budgeted funds, and neither did the city, to include curb, gutter, and sidewalk with the extension of the roadway. It's always been the city's intention to seek grant funds to include those amenities. When we look at the need for the project, I think it's pretty self-evident. When you have an elementary school and members of the community going to that school, we want to have the safest pedestrian accommodations as possible. We're also including in this project some improvements to the Riverview and Major intersection. And we'll really consider these kind of a first phase improvement to that intersection, because we know that there are safety concerns for that intersection, and we'd like to include some of that as part of the Safe Routes to School program. The 2023 TAP project are a little bit different than some of the others in the sense that typically the ratio of funding is 80-20. This year the ratio is essentially 90-10. So we're putting together an aggressive application, so is about every other community in the state of Wyoming. But we feel that we have a pretty good leg to stand on, especially when we look at the Willow Creek Elementary School. We've put together a estimated budget of about $800,000 for this project. And at the 90-10 ratio, TAP would fund $723,920, and the city would cover $76,000 and change. This budget includes third-party engineering. It includes curb gutter, sidewalk, drainage improvements, and then, as mentioned, some ADA improvements and some deceleration lane improvements to the Riverview intersection at Major. A few things in the resolution just to make note of. This is pretty standard to our typical resolutions that we've submitted when we've done TAP projects in the past. However, I've added something that's just a little bit different, and that is that we will agree to incorporate sections or provisions of the YDOT consultant selection policy in addition to our own professional services selection policy that was adopted just a couple years ago. Our current policy actually allows for this, where we state if we're receiving grant funds, then we follow the selection policy of the funding agency. But I wanted to make note that that's specifically put into the resolution. In reality, we pretty much follow the YDOT process as it is, but this is something that's important for YDOT to see as part of our application and resolution. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks, Kyle. Would the city clerk please read resolution number 1452 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed resolution number 1452, a resolution of the governing body of the City of Riverton authorizing the submission of a transportation alternative program grant to the Wyoming Department of Transportation to improve pedestrian accommodations and infrastructure in the area of Willow Creek Elementary School.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open a public hearing for resolution number 1452.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Borders has a motion, and second is Councilman Councilwoman Cox. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing is open. The public hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statute and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record.
Bethany Baldus, resident of Riverton. This is a really big deal for us to hear in our neighborhood and our kids accessing the school. My kids have walked on that street a lot of times and it can be quite scary. So I'm just excited to finally be hearing a solution. So thank you.
Thank you.
As long as the state agrees and all that.
There's a public meeting. Was it tonight or was
Your Honor, that's going to be scheduled for tomorrow,
tomorrow night at
5:30.
5:30 here at City Hall, right?
That's correct.
I was afraid I missed it. Thank you. Anyone that, in the community that would like to attend that meeting, we would appreciate it if you would come and support us. There being no one else wishing to speak, the chair would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
Moved. Second.
Councilman Peranto has the motion. Councilman Bailey has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1452, supporting the Transit Authority Program TAP grant application to the state of Wyoming for the Department of Transportation, WYDOT, for pedestrian safety and drainage improvements for the area of Willow Creek Elementary School.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Salisbury has the motion and Councilwoman Cox has the second. Further discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
So I think this is a great idea. I just wonder about the area between Majors going east at the intersection. I feel like that section right there on the bike path is the most dangerous part of Riverview, just because it blends into the street so much that I wouldn't let my kids go that way on their bikes because it's with traffic and there's not really a distinction. Is that a discussion point as well, or just Majors?
Your Honor, currently it's just Major and Monroe. However, we have included some of the provisions for the intersection of Riverview, and we're early enough in this process that that may be something we can add into this grant application. It may be something we can add into another project, but that's definitely something we can take note of. I should also state that while we're applying for the grant this current fiscal year, we won't even be able to start moving on it until next fiscal year. So there's a prolonged process with these applications, but as we said, we're early on enough, and I think we can consider that as potential addition to the application.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I was going to say the exact same thing because I walk on that with the loop, and that's really a serious area. I don't know if there's room to widen it or section it off or do something, but that is really a
So that section of ground from where the apartments end to the Majors intersection lies in conjunction with county and city. And so Urban Systems is looking at that as a possible spend to fix that section of road, but we're trying to get the county to buy in and help with that. So Urban System dollars are available for that, and of course, they're always grabbing at those. Urban Systems. Takes us about 10 years to get $1 million stacked up. And so it's on the radar to fix that, and it is a bad section of intersection or road. And so we might have a coming together at that point. And it's a good thing to point out that even if we get the grant, that it'll be in the next cycle for expenditure, so.
Your Honor, I have just a quick thing to add. Just in terms of talking about conduit and fiber, on the west side of Major, from the middle school all the way down, there is fiber optic that was bored in back in 2016. Are you guys aware of that?
It's
And-
a single pipe. Maybe look at-
It's actually a double, and there's a full box there, but, you know, they bored that. So they bored that under the main intersection with Federal, or with Main, and then kind of underneath, and it actually heads east just before that main turn.
Okay.
So
So they probably
it's there, and it's not
came
that
up
deep.
close to the surface right at the intersection.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can you add that to the grant?
Maybe you'd like it to help us locate that.
I could tell you exactly where it is.
We'll appreciate that. Thank you.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We're down to reports and comments. Council committee reports and council members roundtables. Mr. Bailey, would you start us?
Your Honor, I have not had any meetings since we've met last. The Force Committee took a couple of months off because they got all their work done, and now we're just spending money, so it doesn't need to meet to do that. So, again, airport numbers are looking good. Again, wish we could get more flights, but sounding like compared to the rest of the country, we're not doing too bad. So, getting flights canceled all over the place. They have the same problem that all the other employers in the United States have, which is they can't find enough help to do what they need to do. So, other than that, the 4th of July was wonderful, and to my knowledge, I don't think we burned down any buildings or anything like that, so we did good. I did have some comments from citizens, again, regarding their dogs and people that get upset with fireworks, but I think Riverton is a lot more stringent on our fireworks rules than most of the other communities, and so I think, you know, having 2 days a year that we have fireworks is probably acceptable compromise. So, other than that,
Dean, could you?
Your Honor, I haven't attended any meetings since the last time we met. The Riverton School Board, the District 24, wow, I can't speak. The District 25 Rec Board will meet tomorrow night. And I'll report on that. And I was going to mention on the fireworks too, it's kind of interesting. We got home from Lander after that really long line all the way back from Lander. Got home and fireworks were still going. And I was out walking the dog, and she was very resistive to walking because of all the fireworks. And right at about 12 o'clock, it all stopped. And I was like, really? Who does that? Go Riverton. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
follow the rules.
I know, it was awesome.
Tony passed me the police calls, and we got a call at 11:45 and 15 seconds.
Yeah, 33 seconds or something like
Something like that to report that we were over our time. So we do appreciate the citizens of Riverton trying to stay inside the rules set. So thank you very much. Kyle?
Mr. Butterfield sent out a encouraging set of data showing that our, as Mike said, that the flights, even though we're reduced to one flight a day, we're still heading up, and it looks like we will, if everything goes the same, we'll have 10,000 employments. That's good. The second thing is Forest and Sunset, the part of Sunset that you can drive on, above Federal, had a block party last night, and they blocked it all off, and they had, it must have been, I heard somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 worth of fireworks that they bought out of Thermopolis at half price. And my area was loud. And, but the next morning, all of that was cleaned up, was in piles, ready for the garbage guys to pick up. And, on top of the hill on the airport as I came down, it was really thrilling for an old guy like me to see as many people celebrating freedom as there was. There is nothing I understand about dogs. I had a Mastiff spent her night in our walk-in closet. And I understand that, and I understand veterans that have had that. But for us not to celebrate our freedom and to allow our expression of how we feel about it to go unsaid is not proper. And so I think Riverton put on a big flag yesterday, and it was an obedient flag. There was not a lot going on before the hour, but when it hit, they got with it. And as he said, at 12 o'clock, it was gone. And I appreciate, and that was out of the county too, on Smith Road and farther on down over into Prison Farm Road. It just, whoosh, that was it. And, there's a lot to be said for the citizens of Riverton. They need a big pat on the back. That's all I said. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Lindsay?
I haven't attended any meetings since our last meeting. Like Dean said, the rec board meets tomorrow, so I'll be there. I was invited to my first Downtowners meeting, which is tomorrow at 5:30. So I'm glad you're here, Mr. Smith, so you could know it's at Jerry's at 5:30. So, all right. Also, the mayor and I and Mr. Miller have been talking about getting a group together to help with the weed problem and the community members that can't take care of them themselves, and coming up with a group that can help. So if you need help with your weeds or anything around your house, you can call me. I've been trying to get my kids out to just help with that as we can. I'd be more than happy to spend time just to help you around your house, because I feel like time is free, and I'd like to donate that to you. So let me know if I can help with that. And other than that, I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Carla?
Your Honor, I have not had any committee meetings since we last met. I did want to go through some of the activities that are coming up. We always get these great emails from Go Riverton, and we have a ton of really cool things coming up right now. Of course, there's the Wednesday's Farmers Market. According to this, they've got a guest singer and what's the other thing? Chalk art competition. So that looks like fun. There's a babysitting class at CWC for kids from 11 to 14. They're going to go through all kinds of good stuff, first aid and things like that you'd need as a babysitter. And then, of course, this weekend is coming the Happy Days, and there's a concert free Friday night at City Park. Looks like a band that kind of looks like ZZ Top, so that might be a lot of fun. And then Happy Days is Saturday from 9 to 3 at City Park. They've got all kinds of neat things going, and I just hope everybody gets out and participates. And we do have a really pretty cool community. It's nice to be here and see all these activities going on. And thanks to everybody that works so hard to make it happen. That's all, Your Honor.
Thanks, Carla. Christie?
First of all, I'd like to let our guests know we've been working on medical services for the last 4 years, and we're getting closer. There's some funding that's coming up that the state will probably meet about in August, so we're trying as quickly as possible on that, because that is a problem. The other It's scary for the whole city. I can't wait till that happens, so. Also, I want to mention the Sugar Beats concert series was so much fun last Friday. it was more fun for everybody but me because I help with the bouncy house and putting those up and stuff. I always get, that's what I'll be doing Happy Days because my niece will be out of town, but it's really a lot of fun. I thought we had a great turnout. I encourage everybody to go. Also, the college has hired the Du Bois Chamber president as our marketing person, and I met with Jennifer, and she's a wonderful lady and was excited about what's going on in Riverton. She wanted to share that they do square dancing in Du Bois on Tuesday nights. On July 30th, they'll have a brew fest and invite people to come, and it's exciting to have the communities work together on that. We have a chamber meeting this Thursday at 11:30 at the library to do some more things, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Tony?
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, the good news is most people covered some of this stuff on mine, so it's short. I think we got through the sugar beets. I think we got through Day in the Park, Happy Days, but don't forget that July 15th through the 17th is our rally. So I think everybody here knows how much work goes into that. Many thanks to Kristen and Megan and the committee that put that together and everybody who volunteers. It's always amazing. So there are I'm told there are 21 balloons this year, and if you've been on Facebook, you've seen how neat some of those really are. So we're really looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of the one in purple. It's if you haven't seen it, go looking for it. As pointed out previously, there's no force meeting this next week. Staff will attend IDEA Inc. meeting this coming week. There will be an EDGE special meeting tomorrow to discuss the applications that were received, not this last week, but the week before. And then council will review whatever recommendations that come out of that committee. So we should be able to have those at the end of this month, hopefully. So looking forward to that and that discussion. And Your Honor, I only had one other thing. I think you see in the emails that you sometimes get, and if you've been through City Hall on certain days at noon, we have an individual who plans the group birthday parties that for all of the employees. And, you know, it comes to my attention, it's her birthday today. So,
Really?
happy, if you see Tisha, please wish her a happy birthday. We really do appreciate her. Happy birthday, Tisha.
Pick her up off the floor?
She's great, and we love having her with us, so thank you. Your Honor, I do not have anything else.
Thanks, Tony. We appreciate it. I had the opportunity to meet with 3 citizens this last 2 weeks and go down and they're reclaiming the tie hack location with the creosote, and that's kind of a smelly process to get that taken care of, and I appreciate those people in that area of town putting up with that, and we look forward to getting that taken care of. I did have a meeting with the chief and Tony, and that was very informative. I appreciate their hard work. The highlight was that I got to go down and help the Riverton Little League for their championship game and the fireworks, and that was a great turnout, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's fun to see that happen, and you know, it's so easy to sit at home in your easy chair and not participate, but it's fun to get down there and see those young people that are putting their whole heart and soul into doing what they would like to do, and I appreciate being invited. I also had the opportunity to discuss on numerous occasions weeds, and I did have an individual come into my office, and he actually paid to have some weeds taken care of, and I appreciate him doing that, and I just wanted to publicly thank him for his efforts. He knows who he is. We have had a council meeting every week this last month, and I had some conversations with Lander, and they actually pay by the meeting, and so they were kind of curious on how we do that. And Councilman Larson made the statement that we don't give enough credit to our finance department, and so I'm going to take a stab at this, and Tony and Mia can clean it up if I get it wrong. Let's do that. The reason I want to do this is finances. Every one of us knows we all have our own personal finances that we work on, And sometimes we stay in budget and sometimes we do not. And sometimes it's a pleasant opportunity, sometimes it isn't. It's been my experience that our finance director, Mia Harris, is extremely capable. And she comes to us from the private sector, which I think makes her so cued to the detail. And so no additional funds. We had a meeting last Tuesday to reconcile all accounts inside the budget. And so there was a fiduciary fund that was increased by $23,000 for the Riverton Rendezvous balloon. Now, that was for the envelope that we were short on donations so far. So if you're out there in the community and you would like to donate, Kristen and Megan would love to have their phone ring and help you with that. And that fund, some people would take from this conversation that the city pays for those balloons. We do not. We do not have any money in those balloons. They're all done by donation. But we had a balloon fail. The number 1 Cloud Kisser, the white balloon, failed its test, and so we had to order a new envelope, which was around $31,000, I believe. And we have already collected in donations somewhere around 24. And so we're a little bit short, and so that fund was raised. In addition to the general fund and the enterprise funds, the budget that we had last year, there was a savings in those funds. The general fund, we saved $1,187,039, or 14% of that fund. In water, we were $278,597, or 8% savings in that fund. Sewer, we were $166,563, or 13% of that fund was saved. Sanitation, $99,604, and that was a savings of 4%. And the airport, $374,144, or a savings of 22%. So I would like to tell the financial department for the city of Riverton, thanks a lot for what you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's a team effort.
It is a team effort, and you're the first one to say that. And in staff meetings, it's amazing to watch how she works with the department heads to make sure that they have their paperwork done, and they're in front of what they're spending, and they know what they can spend and what they can't spend. And lots of times we have to change. We can't buy a front-end loader, but we buy a backhoe. And so it's not as easy as it sounds to handle $26 million. And I think there's less than 1% changes in there. And so I really do appreciate your efforts and what you do. The overall budget savings was $3,267,255, or a reflection of a 14% saving on the budget total in all funds. So I just think there's no way of saying that other than the staff and department heads are doing their job, trying their very best to control costs, and we appreciate that. We're in a really tight spot here, and we're going to see that get even tighter, I'm afraid, with the inflation that we're having. Tony, that EDGE meeting is tomorrow night at 6?
Yes, Your Honor.
And there's also the TAD meeting, and it's at 5:30 tomorrow night,
Yes, Your Honor.
both at City Hall.
Yes, Your Honor. The CAD meeting is in here. The EDGE meeting is in the bullpen.
Bullpen? Thank you. It appears that that's all the items that I have. We do have an executive session, and Tony, you and Kristen are invited. So the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. So I'm going to wing this, somebody help me, to adjourn from regular council meeting into executive session.
Second.
You got the
Motion.
You got Dean Pronto has the motion, and Lindsay has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. At 8:22, we adjourn into executive. Reconvene into general session.
So moved.
Councilman Larson made the motion. Did you want a second?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Peranto has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. We reconvened in at 9:50 PM. Action item for the executive session, the chair would entertain a motion to formally accept City Administrator Tony Tolstad's resignation effective August 4th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox has the motion, Councilman Larson has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. The chair would entertain a motion to instruct City Clerk, HR Director Kristen Watson to begin advertising immediately for the City Administrator's position.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson has the motion, Councilman Bailey has the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. If without objection from anyone, the chair stands adjourned at,
Can I say one thing?
sure.
Tony, thank you. I think it is with regret that we accept your resignation. I think you've done a lot for our community, and it's sad that nobody else is here to hear this, but we appreciate you.
It's on camera, right?
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We
Tony.
do appreciate
luck.
what you've done, and you've done an excellent job for Riverton. And so no matter how that shakes out, I hope it follows you to Nashville and you have just as much success there as you do here.
Thank you, sir.
I think you'd agree it's in a better place than when you got here.
Very, very proud to have worked with all of you and the staff that we have.
And I hope we can find a replacement that even holds a candle. Been great.
Tony? Thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks.
Sir.
We're adjourned.
Hope your children get